Another beautiful day down in the hole. All the hobbits are doing well, drinking mead and having a good time, and this hobbit is also not drinking mead but having a good time. What am I up to today? Well, I am currently working on plugging the hole in the bulwark, and it's proceeding satisfactorily. The backing plate solution that I came up with worked well. The epoxy kicked off and created a nice firm support for the plug, and I put the plug in with some more thickened epoxy. Have a look. You can see the plug, and I've squeezed in a little bit of thickened epoxy in some of the bigger voids. And once that has kicked off, I plan to put some fiberglass strand in the actual crack. I used my grinder to create a beveled edge so that I could do exactly that, put some strand glass in the crack. The reason for that is because the backing plates, while they're reasonably strong, they're not that strong. They're not meant to structural tension. So I'm going to get some glass and wet it out, put it in there, and then fair the whole thing in, and that should be that. Then I'm ready to sand the bulwark in preparation for paint. It's a little dirty and grubby right now, but that's easy to fix with a bit of water and a brush. So the next part of the hole plugging project is the hole that I had to put into the shower pan in the head in order to mount the head. And I've got the plug back together. These two plugs here were the hole saw cuts I had to make in order to get my sawzall in to cut the plug out. And that basically represents the shape of the hole that's in the shower pan. So I've got to take all the excess off the back here, make it flat so that when I put it in, it sits tight against the fiberglass tabs that are already in there. And I'm going to do the same thing on this one that I did on the bulwark. I'm going to bevel off the edges so that I can put some maybe some thickened epoxy or some fiberglass mat in there. This one isn't structural, so it's not that important, but still I want it to be strong, in case someone kicks it or something dumb like that. It needs to be strong. So I'm going to grind away, and then I will mix up some more epoxy and we'll put this one in place. So that's my plug prepped and ready to go back in. I know some of you purists out there are going to have a freak because I'm using a grinder without a safety guard on it, and I'm not wearing any gloves or anything. So whatever you do, do not do what I do. But I'm going to do what I do because it works for me. So I'm going to get busy. I'm going to mix up some thickened epoxy and put this in the shower pan in the head. Come along, have a tea. So this is the shower pan. You can see the fiberglass plate that I put in there. I can remove those screws. They're not holding anything anymore. And then this guy will fit in there like so. So I need to clean up a little bit of that hardened epoxy. It's holding this out a little bit. And then I will mix up some fresh epoxy and hold that in place. I have successfully plugged the hole in the shower pan. It's not particularly pretty right now, but it's effective. I used screws through the backing plate to clamp it in there because the clamps won't fit, and that seems to have worked just fine. Come and have a look. There it is. I've got two screws through the piece of fiberglass that I epoxied in there the other day, and I put thickened epoxy underneath it and all the way around it to fill the gaps. I will sand that out, ferret out, and then put some more thickened epoxy on there to make it flat where there's still some voids. It's a very awkward spot in here. I managed to grind out some of the glass in the floor pan here, but that's no big deal. I can build that up with a bit of thickened epoxy with some fairing. So that's that project basically complete other than finishing touches. In other news, I have come to a bit of an impasse with the Electrosand unit. I got on the phone with the tech support people from Raritan this morning, and they informed me that this unit is so old that they no longer supply parts for it. What I could do, my options, are to purchase an upgrade, which includes the circuit board, a jumper, and some other stuff. It comes with, as a kit, it comes with instructions and all the parts necessary to upgrade it, and it's about $300. The issue with doing that is I don't know what the condition of the electroplates inside the tank are. They could be great, they could be absolutely buggered. If they are buggered, it's $400 replacement fee, which puts the price up in the region of a new unit. So rather than take the risk of repairing it and still having like a repaired old machine, I think I'm going to go ahead and purchase a new unit. I don't want to. It's expensive, and it's not what I was planning to do with the head when I bought the boat. I figured it would be a functioning unit. It's not. But Dread Pirate Admiral will not come sailing on the boat, and I suspect any other females that we take out sailing won't want to go sailing without a properly functioning head. So it's pretty much a necessity, not a need, or I mean, it's not a want. It's pretty much a necessity. It's not a want. It's a has to have for people to come sailing with me. So have a look here. I'll show you what's going on. So this is the Electrosand unit. This is the culprit that's not working right now, the circuit board. The solenoid I replaced a couple of years ago, and I thought the unit was working because I basically jump-started the motors. The motors do run. They're not seized or jammed up or anything, but the circuit board doesn't send a signal via the ribbon cable to the control panel, and that's absolutely necessary for the Electrosand unit to work. So the new Electrosand units are plumbed exactly the same way as the old ones. The only difference is the electronics on them. And I think that given the age of this one and the fact that a new one properly maintained will last many years, probably 15-20 years, I think it's probably the best course of action. If you think differently, by all means, do let me know. I had one of the guys at the club tell me that I should just get rid of the thing and put a holding tank in, but the thought of pump out stations and carting around a big stinky box full of sewage is not appealing. So yeah, let me know what you think. So while I wait for the thickened epoxy to harden up on the two plugs that I've just installed, I am going to continue working on the bilge pump situation. I need to screw the floating switch to the bottom so that it's not flopping around, and I need to tidy up the wiring. The control panel, the board, is back at the shop. I've laminated it together, and it needs to be shaped, and it needs to have a hole cut in it for the switch. So we're getting very, very close to finishing that project. A lot of projects are coming together on the boat, which is going to make it saleable. It's not that it's not saleable right now, but there's just things that need to be done for it to be in skookum salty order. Once those jobs are done, I think I'm going to be turning my attention to the inside of the boat to get the cosmetics taken care of. It's kind of old and dirty and stained, and just needs some attention. It's not particularly troublesome work. It's just a little time consuming. I also want to paint the deck. I want to do the bulwarks and all the spaces where there's no non-skid, get those painted up with bright sides, and once that's painted, then I'm going to put new non-skid down on the deck, and that will make the deck at least look like the hull. So it'll be matching. It won't look quite so glaringly odd. And once that's done, I can put my cap rails back on. So Cap rails aren't necessary to go sailing, but they are a cosmetic piece that just makes the boat look finished as opposed to being halfway through a refit. So there we are. That's where we are right now, and I'm just going to carry on working.